Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be finishing up the Brazil run. Almost certainly our goal for the run, or our remaining goals for this episode, are unifying all of South America, so we're going to have to take some dirt back from Great Britain, and I mean back. And then we will also want to hit 25 SOL, that's almost certainly going to happen. And also we want to get to 1 billion GDP, which should be very manageable within this, kind of one episode time frame. We are going to try and get it from them diplomatically, but last episode, we fought for the fate of the Americas, and what we did is we needed to kneecap, the USA sufficiently so that they would no longer be a thorn in our side in regards to, our pursuit of hegemony over the Americas. And I could say, or we can say rather, with pretty good confidence that that's the case. Their GDP is 1/10 of ours. Their military is still pretty strong, but I don't think they can support this. I think they're probably going to collapse. I think they have some problems. I think they have some devastation. Let's check and see if they have devastation. No, they don't. Okay, well, you can't have it all. I think we did a pretty good job rolling them back very, very significantly, and we might be able to get the CSA within our sphere, especially if we continued on for a longer period of time, but I don't think we're going to do that. We are enacting single-party state. This is probably the last law passed that we do entirely. We also want communism, and we also want to do the exploiting the Amazon, finish this up, and get the achievement that it requires. But in order to do that, we do have to get Guyana, so let's get on it. The Red Terror abroad. In a recent speech, this guy has directly pointed at the state of Brazil as an example of what awaits Brazilian society if the Brazilian integralist action does not come to power. Of course, the Brazil is a good example of what awaits Brazilian society. A whole nation must unite against the Brazilian menace. Brazilian relations towards Brazil deteriorates by 20. Alright then. Good old Red Terror. What's your greatest fear? Myself. Brazil, what do you fear? Brazilians. Ooh, goody. Time for the Great Purge. Disloyalty is treason, mostly etc. Minus political movement for radicalism. Minus radicalism for SOL decreases, and we get the single-party state. It's going to be big nice. It's going to be big nice up in this bizzle. We are going to get, this one, I think single-party, my sample size is small because we haven't been able to play too many runs this deep. But, overall this seems like the best kind of, system, because what it's going to allow is it's going to allow you to get one block in power. We have our block kind of already selected. This is the party that we had at the start. We're super okay with this, and hopefully the rural folk get powerful. But it allows you to get 100 legitimacy and 250 authority pretty consistently. It's going to make it hard to get these guys that are outside back in if we wanted to, and we can maybe do something like this if we wanted to as well. And these guys would get powerful, and maybe this is good. So we'll do this. I'm not sure exactly how the party reforms or decides to reform or this sort of thing, but we're going to be super okay with what's going on here. And hopefully these guys will all gain some clout, because they do have clout gaining mechanic in here. We have the plus 20% attraction of interest groups in government, and so we would like them all to kind of collectively be powerful and share the power, and then we just have now 400 authority to work with that we can kind of spend on whatever. We'll probably encourage resources in Transvaal, because this is our most resource-dense state. So we're going to come in here, we're going to go to decrees, and we're going to encourage resource industry here. We don't necessarily really need to do taxes. I think we have a ton of manufacturing in Minas Gerais, though, so we're going to encourage manufacturing there. It's not like theoretically a super optimal state to encourage manufacturing in, but we have so much there already, and I don't think we're going to recomp or like redistribute the population such that we'll have anywhere near as much population and stuff going on anywhere but here. And I think the last couple we will just put in on consumption taxes. We could do greener grass campaigns, look to pull people specifically. Actually, why don't we just try and pull people towards, some of our better states. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to put in some consumption taxes. We're specifically going to tax porcelain and luxury clothes, I think. Actually, let's take a look at our pops and see what they're consuming. Yeah, they're consuming a decent chunk of luxury clothes. There's no such thing as targeting the upper class anymore. In fact, the upper class is kind of disappearing here. Oh my god, my computer chair got stuck. Sorry about that. They're all kind of consuming the same stuff. Okay, well, I guess we'll put that in as our taxes for now. At least until we start making some more money. We could just increase... Actually, you know what? Let's just go for the full eco. We're going to go for the full eco. We're going to encourage resource industries as well in here in Freistadt, which I think has... no, it doesn't have the second most resources. It does have 17 gold mines, though. Shout out to Bugs. And so let's put this in here. Can't believe my computer chair got stuck. And we already have encouraged... No, we're using manufacturing there. And so that's going to be nice. We're going to have to find one last place to encourage something. Maybe we just encourage migration to... I know that we have a pretty good state in here. What's the caps look like? Okay, so you're already kind of capped out on these resources, kind of... Nothing with a really tall cap, a really tall ceiling in terms of how good it is. I suppose Lima's... Well, Lima's got a construction malice. Maybe we just send him to Transvaal. The problem with Transvaal is if you're not a homeland pop, you're going to have extra mortality. But maybe we don't care. And maybe we would really like a mass migration event to Transvaal. So we'll just greener grass there for now. And do a little bit of this. And a little bit of that. And then we should be in pretty good shape here. Okay. So I think I like that. I think we can steady on this 380k. Notably, if we're at war, by the way, this is a bug where if you subjugate someone, they can't get enforced period. And so we subjugated them, or we swayed in. But as long as we have army mobilized, we lose a lot of money. But then if we don't have any mobilized, I think we gain money with kind of what our current setup is. SOL 25, though, is a little bit hard on your national expenses because the government wages are going to be really, really high. The higher your SOL goes, or the higher than the normal wage goes, the more expensive your national wages are going to be, including, you know, all the military and this sort of stuff. But we want this for the migration, so this is kind of why we're pushing it. What's a run-ending episode without a little bit of a world war? We are going to be fighting the German Empire and Russia here. We swayed in to transfer Austria-Hungary as a protectorate, and so this seems pretty worth it. But now we have Brazilian Wallonia and regime change on us. We don't want to release our communism just yet, and so we will be defending fiercely. Just kind of, this is going to be our MO. We're just going to defend until this guy can mobilize up again. Kind of classic strategy. We have machine guns on top of the trench infantry, and so despite them, you know, making some progress here, that's not good. How are you making progress through our 100 stack, baby? Maybe we just don't have enough generals here. We have another guy coming in with a bunch of defenders who can hopefully borrow some troops and reclaim some of that territory there. But that's a little not ideal at the very start. But we have a slight advantage on most of these fronts, as well as, if I am not mistaken, naval superiority. They have, you know, 10k kind of power projection. We have 20k. And so all we have to do is micro, and 4k for Russia. All we have to do is micro and make sure that we're in good shape. We have piled on all of our non-huge navies over here to defend, you know, because this seems to be where the AI likes to raid us in particular, which makes a lot of sense. This is kind of us maintaining cohesion between Brazil and Africa, so this makes sense. You know, if it's free, it's for me. We couldn't just deny a free subject, even though it'd be way less of a headache if we did. We've accrued 0 infamy doing this, and we'll just be defending. This will also crank up our GDP, but we gotta kind of make sure we keep construction going. We might delete a little bit of construction if things get a little hairy. Probably at around 75% of our credit line, we'll look to delete down construction to around 1,500. We're mainly recomping anyways, because, you know, we don't have like no peasants and unemployed for the most part, and so it's not like we're getting people new jobs, we're just getting them better jobs. And so and also getting the available jobs modifier for, you know, migration purposes. So you know, unused, see, this place does not have available jobs, but Minas Gerais or Gerais almost certainly has available employment, so we are kind of stacking this modifier in places if we can. So a bunch of them have gotten in over here, but it looks like we're just kind of dusting them up for the most part, severely outnumbering them or having really, really big advantages in terms of our overall offense versus their defense, these types of things. And so I think we will be kind of, you know, crunching them out here. And this is the majority of their navy that they don't have, you know, kind of in the home areas. And so this will be good for us. We are combo raiding here. here, but also have our big stack kind of defending the convoy raiders, at least for now, until we can kind of until we are ready to try and do a landing. Of course, this big stack is perfectly positioned to reland this stuff, and so maybe we will even push an ingress from here to recover it. We have this, let's see, this 14 stack. We had them stationed here. For whatever reason, they went back to Brazil, but the idea is that we can reland. If they take a single full state here, we could just reland it using our big stack that they won't be able to push out of here. Yeah, so we should have started this landing here much, much earlier with the understanding that it would take us forever to slog through multiple navies, every single one of their commanders, because we just have to do a battle and kill one commander each tick. I mean, I suppose we could run more guys on interception, and that maybe this makes the battles come through a little bit faster, but it seems like we're just getting one at a time, and we've had to go through 2 full stacks of navies already just to try and get a landing in, which is like kind of obscene. And in that time, Austria-Hungary's ticked down a tremendous amount, and the whole point is we can land and push Brandenburg's capital. We have an overwhelming advantage here, but it's not going to matter. I mean, to be fair, they're only giving up an Istria treaty port, and then we're not going to have to give up like any of this stuff because they they're out, and they just want a white peace. So we could stay in to try and get them to get Styria and Austria. I mean, well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Are they getting enforced below 0? For whatever reason, they're getting enforced below 0. Oh, is this the capital? Where's the capital of them? And is it occupied? Their capital's in central Hungary, and it's not occupied, and somehow they're still getting enforced down on the Istria treaty port, even though Istria is not occupied at all. So, like, I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to do here. They shouldn't be able to tick us below 0, but there's about no chance that, I mean, they're going to keep ticking us down at 5 a tick, right? And there's no shot that this gets in, so I guess we have to white peace, as bad as it feels, and as much as like we think that like we should win this. For whatever reason, they're like ticking down a war score in a way that's like not symmetric, because they don't have the war goals, and somehow they're able to tick down the war score below 0. But okay, we'll accept the peace deal of white peace, sure. And we get Austria-Hungary as a subject. Big nice. So we are going to offer Ubangi Shari, which is, of course, the place that Britain has a claim on anyways, in exchange for British Guyana here. We're going to click yes, and they are going to say yes, and we will be happy because we will have gotten Guyana fully secured, and now we can crank this up to level 15 at the front of the queue for finishing the exploiting the Amazons. Let's see, Guyana get extra migration attraction, sure, and this is perfect. And now we just need to find a trade that they are willing to accept for Patagonia. And so we are going to trade British Eastern New Guinea here, which is, you know, this is not a nothing burger of a state. This is a fairly valuable state. In fact, it might even be worth more than Patagonia. Probably not. But the AI is pretty keen on restoring balance to the force. You know, oh my god. Actually, it's close. I actually think Eastern New Guinea is a little bit better, but we just want to get the state right, and so we will do this, and we will get ourselves Patagonia secured, and we have secured all of South America, not including the Falkland Islands, which we're not going to go for those, and oh man, does it look beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, fully secured. So right as we finish squad infantry, France decides that they want some heat, so we don't have squad infantry yet. But there's a pretty significant error in France's decision-making here. They're currently in bankruptcy, so they're just going to absolutely get shredded. I'm not sure what this is about. I don't know what to make of this. We're kind of interested in maybe liberating some people, doing something like this. There's nothing we really particularly want from France. We've already ejected them from our, you know, region. Oh wait, what's that? I guess we'll be liberating Haiti, you know, kick them out of the Americas. That might be the last European in the Americas, except the Falkland Islands. Everyone always forgets about the Falkland Islands. Not the recent Argentinian president, but that's a story for another thing. And there is this from Great Britain, but very strange. Our infamy is relatively high though, so I don't think we want to accrue infamy just in terms of like the playstyle. And so this is kind of just maybe we just go for war reps and then we just chill out and we just occupy an island and we just defend our front and we just say, what are you going to do about it? They obviously declared like on Belgium, like in terms of the AI decision making process, but it doesn't take into account that we're the overlord, and so now they're just going to get wrecked. Well, they are about to get blasted. We got some allies in here, too. We got the CSA and the Italians who wanted, to dice them up a little bit more, liberate Santo Domingo, liberate Occitania. So we're actually going to try and just push and enforce it in this way. They are, subject to some pretty significant malices. And we are pushing just with 3 generals only here. But I think that our choices are pretty good here. Ooh, I thought we had one of these. Do we have one of these guys pushing? I thought we had one of these guys pushing. Okay, I guess not. But in here we are pushing with a heavy barrage guy, which is just going to do more damage, more kill rate. Here we are pushing with a cautious advance guy, which has recovery rate. And here we are pushing with another heavy barrage guy. So we got 3 pushers. We're going to push in towards the capital of, France. I assume that's still the capital. It might not be. All right, it is. And then we got a guy defending the front here. And then we're just going to do a little bit of a cheeky landing. We were going to do it on Senegal, because this was our main release that we had, and we didn't have to, go and take their capital. But since Liberate Occitania is now in here, and it's a bit of a thing, we are going to raise conscripts here. We're going to first make sure that we, upgrade all the guys to their relevant things, and we are going to look to do a landing, a D-Day landing on Normandy here. I think we're going to use the big fleet, and so then the smaller fleet. Oh, let's get both of these raiding convoys guys in the same node. I think I like having the raiders in the same node as the really, really big fleet, because the raiders do a really good job raiding, and then the big fleet can focus on actually intercepting anyone who's trying to interfere with the raiders, and there ends up, usually you're landing in a spot where it's going to be pretty good anyways. And then I think with this 50 stack navy, we will still land here, but just with a much smaller landing squad. I don't think the big one's going to be necessary, and so we have these 4 pushing armies here that are just going to look to push in, like actually actively push instead of just defend and go, no, you can't hurt us, brah. And then we have 1 defensive army over here. We got 2 defensive armies here. We got a regional army here, which is just kind of stuck in on defend. This is our African regional army that just normally stays put in Africa, and they'll just defend here. And then I think we had the North American army coming this way to maybe try and do something on this front. Looks like we're going to get pushed out of this front though, and so it's mainly but like they're bankrupt. This is probably going to be a bit of a swift victory for us in a lot of ways. We'll see. Maybe they'll put up a stern defense, but in particular, I think that landing Normandy and pushing Isle de France is really going to be really, really strong here. They're not leaving anyone behind, and I don't see any navies in sight. So curiously here, Russia is cutting France down to size. I guess they tried to bite off more than they could chew with us, because they really haven't taken a whole lot other than the capital of Japan, which, to be fair, that is the capital of Japan. But we also have another war over here, which we are going to we're a little bit late joining, but we're going to try and play world police on this one. Looks like the USA is not too keen on it anymore, but we can't let them re-gobble up all this, and come back as someone who could maybe do something or be somebody, and so we are going to need to kind of come in here. It's really not a lot that they'd be losing, so I wouldn't be surprised that they back down. They just have to revoke primary claim, but maybe they think it's worth it. And also it's going to take a while for our troops to get there. Our troops won't really get there in time, and this does make us want to wrap up this France war in relatively short order. Now, I'm not sure exactly why it is that we're losing battles here, because it seems like we have a much stronger navy, and what we have is we have like 15% less boats in our specific navy, in our navy alone. Now, the Confederate fleet has boats, they have monitors and destroyers and ironclads, and overall this looks quite a bit better than this monitors ironclads business. Ironclads or sorry, monitors, are like 20-30, I think, in terms of offense defense. And then they have, you know, some ironclads, which are 50-50, but we have like a much better fleet. And we got 50-50 on our light ships and 80-80 on our heavy ships. And we have a smattering of monitors as well, but mainly scout cruisers. And also, you know, we have ironclads too, but also a ton of dreadnoughts. So the fact that we, you know, aren't making as much progress as I maybe think we should be making is a little bit of a bummer, but we're going to be coming back here to try and defend. Looks like we're getting landed up there, which is not much to be done. We might even try and reroute this landing and just try and push in all natural versus France, but you know, France is about to get a whole bunch of trouble here with this cut down to size. They're going to have to fight the UK, Germany, who they're not fighting right now, Italy, who they're already fighting, and Spain from the south, and so I imagine they kind of collapse more or less here, and so maybe we could even move some troops, like this guy, you know, on over to here. Wait, why is there two fronts here? Man, that's cursed. Okay. But we already have some guys coming in to try and help defend, to try and help catch these advancements before they completely, this might completely get in, which would be a little bit unfortunate. We'll get some devastation there. Also, the GDP is looking pretty good, but not quite as good as we would have hoped. To be fair, we haven't unlocked any technologies, nor are we going to unlock any production technologies, I think, you know, before the end here. I guess we could go for dough rollers, which is kind of an okay one, same with flash freezing, but like, meh. So the walls do appear to be closing in on France here. Yeah, they're not going to be able to recover from this type of thing, or they're not going to be able to defend this type of thing. They're getting pushed by too many people. It's just like, they're airtight here. Like, there's nothing left. There's no hole left to plug. They're getting pushed. They're getting landed. They're getting pushed by USA, Russia, Germany, Italy, us. You know, probably the scariest one. And they are almost certainly going to have to liberate Occitania. Well, so here's the thing. The CSA actually might peace out relatively quickly, and this is kind of the one we're a little bit concerned about, is that the CSA peace out. You see they're minus 27, and the reason they'd want to peace out is because this is happening, and we're trying to defend them, but we're having, man, oh man, we're having trouble. Oh my god. All the guys, like, I hate this so much. If the front moves, sometimes they just, like, decide that, hey, siding to that front's maybe not a good idea. We moved all these guys over to this front, like, forever ago, and then they just decide that, no, just kidding, we didn't mean it. This isn't a meaningful front, and like the fact that guys can unassign like in a way that's like not super, it's semi-random, it's like pretty frustrating. But we have a landing in on the USA. I mean, if they don't have the CSA's capital, which I think they do, because I think it's in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay, well, it is what it is. So when France got cut down to size, it bricked all of our fronts and all of our progress, which is so incredibly, like, annoying. But at the same time, they had to release Haiti, which was one of our war goals, and we have liberate French Senegal. I guess we just get our... Jesus, this is stupid. So CSA had to leave. They had to go home. Mom was calling. They were late for dinner. And then we... So Liberate Occitania was out, Italy got out, and then we had Liberate Haiti and Liberate French Senegal. And I guess we just get this anyways, but it is kind of stupid that it just completely bricked all of our like progress and fronts and everything. Everyone got unassigned. But now we can properly focus on... Okay, now we can properly focus on over here, but this is not looking very good at all. I think we actually try and reland the capital here of Virginia. Maybe we could have microed this a little bit better, but if we get in on Virginia, we should be able to push. We have a pretty strong push on every place. The question is CSA going to get enforced on, and are they, like, feeling it or not? And I think they're probably not feeling it. To be fair, I would not be feeling it if I was in their shoes, so, yeah. I mean, we just hope we can get them. Yeah, they're ticking under zero because they're capital. Oh my god, is this a ghost navy? Please don't have a ghost navy. That's impossible. Okay, it doesn't look like it's a ghost navy. Alright, we get the capital. And now, they shouldn't... Why are they able to be enforced below zero, my guys? They want a defense pact? I don't think so, but like... What the hell's going on? Is it because... Oh, alright, let's actually see. Texas... Missouri, oh my god, 50 nifty United States. Missouri's taken, Kentucky is also taken, and Arkansas is, oh my god. Everyone can tell that I really don't. Okay, so everything's occupied, so that's fair enough. They are occupying all the war goals, but... Alright, we'll see if we can dust up this war anyways, though. The CSA-USA war, I think, just got white-pieced. I didn't see exactly what it is, because it's just generally buggy-looking. Maybe they revoked the claim. Not sure, but Brazil reigns supreme in the Americas. And we have here the very last tick of the very last exploiting the Amazon thing we can do. You can see we have 9 out of 10. We are ready to exploit, and fully, we are ready to be the harbingers of order. Fully, you know, tame the Amazon and get the Devil's Railroad achievement, which is going to be pretty nice. We're going to screenshot that. And that is kind of the super late game achievement that we get here off of, you know, the Amazon. So we have completed kind of all of the things we have available for the Brazil specific stuff. The, you know, coffee and milk is part of if you go Republican and this type of thing, and I think populist unrest is also part of that, but we went monarchist in this kind of run overall, and now we are, you know, starting to build up in Persia. We did annex Persia. I don't know if we've talked about that at all, but we annexed Persia, which is going to be quite nice. There's a lot of resources there. We're starting to build up there. The construction is going to be super inefficient here because the turmoil, and it's going to give you a lot of negative state construction efficiency, especially with coal specifically. Maybe we shouldn't have started off with coal. Maybe we should have started off with iron or wood, because we have companies for these to kind of override. So maybe we'll actually change things up a bit and switch to wood, or well, we'll just do wood and coal, because a lot of these people are still peasants, which is why our SOL went from, you know, being like 26 to 23. So we're going to try and crank it up before the end of this episode here by, you know, putting in a lot of construction here and trying to de-peasant these pops as quickly as possible. In theory, they'll migrate, but we could also de-peasant them just by building over where they are and, you know, doing this sort of thing. Wood is going to be one of the better industries for doing this. We do put, you know, electricity in all these places. I think what we might do is we might subsidize the electricity in all these places so that it actually, you know, employs up and this type of thing, or try to. And so makes turning on the PMs easier. Overall, electricity is just an absolute pain to, like, deal with. And it also, like, causes us, when we use, like, the reset PMs button, to, like, not get the type of results we want. But, like, so what ends up happening is, even if you're running a complete shortage of electricity, like, here, let's come in here, and it's just, like, kind of tedious to fix this. We see that we are running fat shortages of electricity, and let's say, Jujui. And if we take a look at the power plant in Jujui, it's not employing up. So even though we're running the PM is so freaking bad that even though we're running a deficit here, I mean, we could swap up to coal-fired, and maybe we have to do this, but even though we're running a deficit here, the place can't employ up, like, because the weekly balance is just barely positive. And look at this, the electricity is super expensive. We have this and this, like, way cheaper than the electricity. The wages are, well, the wages are probably pretty expensive, like, relatively speaking, but they're not insane. And so this place just can't employ up, and so we have to just endure, like, shortages in this area. Now, we did swap over the PM, and so now we're not starting to endure a shortage, but, like, with the base PM, it's just absolutely terrible. And it's just, like, miserable to kind of come in here and, like, need to do a whole bunch of stuff. Also, like, I mean, I guess you can subsidize, but, like, then it's even more micro, right? Because there are some, like, runaway ones that are just too big that you don't want to subsidize because the auto queue just decided to expand them, like, enormously. And it's like, should we subsidize here? And it's like, well, maybe. And maybe you're just supposed to subsidize in general, but that's, like, kind of rough. But yeah. So I know we said 1 billion GDP, but it is a little bit slower than I had anticipated. You know, having fought those wars, we instead had to spend a lot more money on, not on construction, or at least as much as we would have wanted to spend on construction. I guess we should have annexed Persia first. This is really where a lot of our GDP growth is coming from right now, is we're just turning these peasants into non-peasants, which really does quite a number in terms of increasing the GDP. We can't really do that anymore in the mainland South America because we're out of peasants, and so this is really the spot. And so even though we're eating the massive, you know, construction efficiency malice, or wait, what? Why don't they have a bunch of turmoil? Okay, so even though we have state construction efficiency, maybe it's because we gave them so many jobs. Hot damn, look at us. But I think we're going to conclude the run here. This episode, we fully unified Brazil here. And by Brazil, I mean all of South America, excluded the Falkland Islands, which, all of the land continental South America, as it were. And so let's take a look at some of the metrics here at the very end. We are the number one great power. This is the first episode we've been the number one great power. We barely passed up, Great Britain in terms of prestige. And it's we barely passed them in rank. In terms of GDP, we're about double Great Britain. Overall, GDP felt a lot stickier, even in 1.5.10 relative to 1.5.9. Of course, our 1.5.9 run included Great Qing, which is the best GDP country. But overall, we didn't really breach 6 or 2 construction at any point during the run, and so overall it felt a little bit depressed. I think we misplayed quite a bit in some pivotal wars that would have maybe made a pretty big difference in terms of how our economy comes out at the very end, in terms of GDP. So I'm not even sure. I'm not sure if we did an okay job because small sample size on new changes, and I know that a lot of things economically slow down. Specifically, I think that it's really, really bad if you don't have a place that has coal and iron at the game start. I think that this is just such an impediment, and we didn't have that, here. This is kind of our best map-y state, and to be fair, we built it up a whole lot, but, the lack of access to these types of states, I think, is just absolutely tremendously, an impediment, and, I mean, maybe I'm off the mark, and maybe we did poorly executed here. This is possible, too, but overall, much smaller GDP than what we're used to. It was a really fun run, though. Overall, the maneuvering feels a little bit more dynamic. I'm uncertain that the army stuff is as dynamic as it first appears at first blush. Mainly because I think that once you kind of understand what's meta, this stuff starts becoming irrelevant. To some extent, but there's also some weird stuff maybe we need to understand a little bit deeper. But the Navy stuff, we're just starting to get into some of the cool things where you could actually have different comps. I felt, and so let's actually just talk about that very briefly here. So we're just comparing all these ships. I think that we had these raider comps, right, where we were not using the best light ship. We had a choice between scout cruisers, which are going to have convoy escort defense, and torpedo boats, which notably have a lot less. Their inputs are much better. Ammo's actually got ammo's not very efficient in terms of the PM, and so you'd actually rather, especially we have a glut of sulfur, so we'd rather do explosives and then ironclads here. And then on these, much less offense and defense, so we're sacrificing offense. But this lets us run a higher ratio of submarines, which have a ton of offense. They don't consume, or they consume a decent amount of goods, right? But they have convoy rating efficiency. And so we have this convoy rating efficiency with convoy rating efficiency. These are our, rating squads. And they're going to look, a bit different than, this is our, absolutely, kill 'em squad, I guess. This is the hulking, I think having just one huge fleet, to do the fighting maybe makes a lot of sense. And our plan here was to just use all scout cruisers and all battleships, right? And so just pure offense and defense for this type of thing. And then we have these little escort squads where I think that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, our ratio of light ships to capital ships and support vessels, both combined, has to be greater than 1-to-1. And so I think that on these convoy defending type squads, that we actually would not use battleships. We would instead maybe use carriers. They give convoy escort defense, and so we would end up using scout cruisers plus carriers for these convoy rating defense type navies, and then we would have torpedo boats and subs, and then we would finally have, for the combat-y ones, we'd have scout carriers and battleships at the very end as a type of hyper late game meta. For the capital ships, it's uninteresting, right? There's effectively the hyper late game. There's effectively two choices here, right? I guess you could use destroyers. I think that no, I think you just use scout cruisers, right? So there's two choices on light ships. And the light ships are, the choices are, you either go for the raiding boats or for the stats slash convoy escort. Notably, it's possible that you would actually want torpedo boats with your offensive like landing armies, because you're going to simultaneously land and convoy raid. But if you're not going to simultaneously land and convoy raid, which we weren't doing, then you would want to have scout cruisers. But if you're if we didn't have these raider squads and we're instead relying on our landing squads to do this, we probably could have done something where we were instead taking the torpedo boats. Okay. Capital ships, it seems like you just use whichever one's best. There doesn't seem to be a reason not to. Yeah. And then support vessels, we have kind of two options of the raiding option, with a ton of offense and convoy raiding efficiency. And then the convoy escort defense, which has more overall raw stats. And so you could maybe make an argument that you could use these over battleships to some degree. But, I think you just want... Well, actually, it depends how they're choosing which armies to bring or which ships to bring in. Because if you are just getting... if there's, a certain combat width and you're capping out the amount of battleships you can bring, at that point, you would actually just prefer to add carriers, right, for the convoy escort defense modifier, or subs for the convoy raiding modifier. But anyways, this is a bit of a tangent. Let's just kind of keep going through some of this stuff. For SOL, we got up to 25.6. If we didn't annex Persia, we'd probably be at 26, 27. For population, we were third in the world, just behind the British Raj and Great Qing. So we managed to just barely pass Russia here, and Great Britain, really popping off too. Russia, they started popping off a little bit once we left their customs union, is kind of where Russia's trajectory overall went, which is kind of amusing. This is when we left their customs union right here. But that's kind of what's going on. Standard of living's high, pop's high. Really, really have a ton of loyalists, obviously, because the standard of living is so high. This is kind of our end game taxes. We could have done high military wages. I think on previous patches the morale recovery was a lot more useful, but now you're getting so much morale recovery from mobilization options that it's okay, it's really not too tremendous. And then also, just a quick look at our laws. We did go the full communist thing with the council, with the single party state. Still think single party state is meta. Still have a really small sample size, so it's really hard for me to tell. But it just seems like you get to have the only downside of single party state is it tends to crush the clout of the people who are not in government, and you get these hyper polarized things. And so I think they're in our instance, we have communist type thing where it's just all the clouts organized in here, and we'd prefer a much more even distribution of clout. But we are getting bonuses from everyone. We could slot these guys in government to make sure they don't get marginalized, something like this. But as you can see, we start incurring too big a penalty. We can take one of these guys along for the ride with the main party, and I think that maybe we're supposed to, while we're passing the law, have more people in government, because I think the way it works is it forms a party around whoever's in government. So maybe that was a bit of a mistake in terms of the execution. Again, small sample size with that law. Multiculturalism, I still think it's meta. Really liked 1.5.5's migration, which allowed discriminated pops to migrate. But as long as as long as discriminated pops can't migrate, which they can't, multiculturalism and total separation are just I don't think it's worth considering anything else. Elected bureaucrats, I think a lot of these laws are just best. I think that once you get over 800 million GDP, which to be fair we didn't, cooperative ownership becomes best. We could have maybe gone command economy a bit earlier, but getting off of it's a little annoying, and it is really bad once your GDP starts getting high. But yeah, just kind of normal looking for people who watch. I guess we considered going workers' protections here, but didn't want the minimum wage, which can cause problems, especially if you have a high level of welfare, which we had relatively high. Here's our institutions here at the end. We did manage to sneak in the final level of healthcare, which is pretty good. To be fair, we could get rid of this, but I think that the migration attraction is actually kind of nice in unincorporated states. So if we had no unincorporated states, we'd probably get rid of the institution entirely. Anyways, that was our Brazil run. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and have a good day.